Johnny, thank you so much for joining us here today on Tir-Kai Tales, all the way from out in Los Angeles. So we're connecting LA and Atlanta today. I'm so excited to talk to you about your amazing career and a lot of the great adventures that you've had and advice that you have for upcoming stunt performers. So thank you so much, Johnny, for joining us here today.
Yeah, hey Jack, no problem. This is fun.
It's so much fun. So, Johnny, I met you as you were our fight director for the Bourne Stuntacular for Action Horizons at Universal Studios Orlando. And it's been a fantastic journey training with you, learning from you. Your spirit, your positive attitude, and your passion for the craft has made an indelible impact on all the performers. So, I'm just
Oh,
excited for our listeners to hear about your story.
thank you.
So tell us a little bit, Johnny, about where you're from, your family dynamic growing up, and perhaps how that made an impact on your life.
Okay. Um, Originally from Philadelphia, just outside of Philadelphia, actually about 6 blocks outside of the um, 63rd Street, which is the end of the West Philadelphia. Born and raised. Um, so Philadelphia, um, family business was funeral directors. And so if I had taken over my father's business, I would have been a fourth generation funeral director.
Wow.
Uh, I grew up, that was my job from the time I was, 12, um, doing little odds and ends around the thing. And then when I got my driver's license, my dad said, "Oh, all right, let's go." And I'm like, "Oh, where are we going?" We've got to go shopping. And I got a black suit and a gray suit. Black suit was to carry the casket, be a pallbearer, and the gray suit was to drive the vehicles and pick the bodies up and all that stuff. Um, so I knew I didn't want to do that. Um, Bruce Lee had a big impact on all of his movies. The first time I saw Billy Jack, to me it was like, wow, there's a white guy doing martial arts, because I as a young kid, as a little kid watching kung fu theater and Bruce Lee movies and stuff, I thought, well, if you really want to be good at martial arts, you have to be Asian. And I saw Billy Jack and I was like, oh, there's a white guy doing it, and I'm why don't I do it? So when I was up at school, there was a fifth year senior who was a taekwondo guy, and excuse me, he put out a little flyer, taekwondo lessons, blah blah blah. And I said, yeah, I'm going. And two other friends went, and then they dropped out about a month into it, and I kept going for about a year and a half. It was basically like private lessons. It was just he and I doing drills and fighting each other and stuff like that, which was awesome. Um, and and then after school, when I finished school, meaning I was done with school, I didn't graduate. I was just
School,
done.
it wasn't your thing, huh?
No, no, not at all. Um, so after school, I moved out to California and wanted to be a stuntman, but had no idea how to do it, and I ran out of money. So I went back east and I bartended. I worked for my dad for a little bit more and saved up some money, and then came back out with more money than I had before. So when I was out here, my sister was dancing. She used to dance, and she was at a kids show, and she's like, "I'll teach you the routine, just to get you a job." I said, "Sure." And it was at Universal Studios, and I saw a couple of the stunt shows up there, and I said, "Well, this is exactly what I want to do." And so I was auditioning for pretty much any and every stunt show that was coming down the block. Whether it was going to Japan or Germany, or I didn't care. I was just like, I want to do this. And it was probably for about 4 years. I was auditioning and did not getting the job. Like, I would make it all the way to the end. They were like, "Well, we loved what you did, but the director thought you were too skinny, or you're too small, or whatever." And I was like, "Okay." And then Pat, excuse me, Pat Milicano, who was one of the owners of Action Horizons, he hired me on someone else's word. So I went to an audition. The guy thought I did really well. he wanted to take me, and the director thought, again, I was too small. And he said, go show up here, at this place, on Friday at, 12 o'clock. I said, okay. And so I showed up, and there's all these stunt people that are in these stunt shows that I've seen. And I'm like, wow, all these people have to audition. What I didn't know is everybody already had the job. And I was included. So they're like, okay, we're going to work on these fights. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is part of the audition. And then they're like, all right, we're going to learn high falls. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is cool. This is part of the audition. I'm learning high falls in the audition. I didn't know I even had the job. And until it was like, I don't know, the next day we showed up. And I said, wow. I said, nobody got cut, to one of the guys that I knew. And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, I thought somebody would be, some of these people would be cut from the day before. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what are you talking about? We're all hired. We're just practicing. And I'm like, oh, really? I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm like, I didn't even audition, or I felt like I didn't audition,
Right.
But that's kind of how that started. And then I would just keep auditioning, and then you make connections with people doing these shows that want to do the same things that you're doing. Mm-hmm. So the good thing is not everybody, looks alike. That's a good thing, because that's basically how I got a lot of my work, was people saying, hey, I just went to this audition, or I just, went to meet with this coordinator about this show. He's like, I don't think I'm good for it. You should give him a call, things like that.
Yeah.
And, one of the biggest films that I got, or I worked on for a while, my friend just threw my name in, because they were talking about, oh, we need another guy that's a good fighter, that's about this size, about this weight, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I have a guy, I have a friend. Well, who's your friend? Blah, 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 this and that. Is he SAG? Yeah, he's SAG, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then I went in and I auditioned, and I got the gig, and a lot of the work has come that way, for me. So and I think it's, it's important to make friends. I mean, what else? Why would you want to make enemies? So that's, to me, that's important, just to be nice, just to do a good job as best you can, know your limitations, things like that. Yeah. Know what you can't do. It is just as much as, know what you can do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's kind of how that all started. But it was, growing up the way I did, and seeing what I saw, because I would get woken up in the middle of the night to go pick up a body at the county morgue, and then come home, take a nap, and go to school, go to high school. So I, not to be morbid, but I've seen everyone dead. Like, I've seen everyone, from really, really old people to really, really young people. And so the thing is, everyone dies. And I think growing up in that environment really made me want to live and enjoy the life that I do have.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how short it is.
Right.
You really don't. And yeah. But it's funny that the job that I take is all about, like, dying.
Risk. Yeah. Yeah.
Eye on camera, you get shot, you fall, you live, So, but it's about that thrill. It's about that excitement, and the cool thing is, with stunts, it is, certain things are dangerous and stuff like that, but you try to factor out as many of the variables as possible, right, for injury or anything, mm-hmm, but at the same time making it look dynamic and spectacular and cool, and just badass, and just have everybody stoked, everything went well, and blah blah blah, and and then you go to you go see the movie, and it's like, and it's like,
it was so fast, or it gets edited out. You're like,
you're like, I know it was a lot more than but it was cool, whatever. But that's the thing that I enjoy about it, is the how smart a lot of stunt performers are,
Mm-hmm.
how intelligent they are, you know, because they figure out, okay, well, we need to bring them up over here, over this, and put them down over there. And sometimes it's the actor,
Mm-hmm.
you know, hey, we need to do this with the actor. You know, you may be doubling someone and testing this rig and eating it, you know, learning, you know, because they're learning with you.
Yeah.
You know, they're learning how to dial this in because they want to put the actor on it.
Yeah.
You know, so you may take some bumps and bruises along the way, but if it makes the actor look cool and he's safe, that's our number one job.
Absolutely.
Keep them safe and make them look cool, make them look as badass as possible.
Totally.
That's it. But that's what's fun. I mean, hanging out with intelligent, fun, cool people. Yeah, sign me up. Where you know where do I sign up? Where is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. And the fact that you said earlier that you've seen death, you know it as a reality, as inescapable, and it helped you to value life, and you wanted to live and follow your dream for as long as you can. And as you
Mm-hmm.
said, the majority of the time as stunt performers, the stunt we're doing is either evading death or getting killed, doing
Right.
a stunt or something, being the bad guy or whatever you're playing. But in that couple of seconds of doing that stunt to portray that moment, would you say that's when you feel most alive?
Yeah. Yeah. And just before it too. Like okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what it's supposed to happen, but it's a stunt. You know, there's a reason why it's called a stunt, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just fun, and honestly,
Yeah.
I I don't feel that I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not work when it's fun.
Yes.
I guess probably what I've always wanted. I've always wanted, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And I've seen that a lot of us that have had the opportunity to work with you is going through rehearsals, building the Jason Bourne Stuntacular show. The fun part was not just the rehearsals in the show, but it was all those moments in between where we had like an hour. And then you would pull us aside, and anyone that wanted to learn would just start fighting and, doing some BJJ or rolling or doing knife disarms. And it was just like, I always remember what stuck out was you saying, I could just do this all day. Like you don't want to go home. This is all you want to do. And that
No,
passion was addictive.
yeah, let's just play. Let's just, you know, keep playing because it's well, what can we create? You know,
Yeah.
what can we create? What looks cool? What actually works? You know,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that actually works, but we can't do that because it doesn't go with the storyline, or it doesn't go with where we need to go with the effects or whatever. So you have to come up with what is going to work best for the show,
Yes.
you know, for the story, and for the director and the actors and stuff like that, because
Mm-hmm.
ultimately when you're working on any production as a stunt performer or coordinator or choreographer, the worst thing to I think to do is to demand your style or your um, ideas.
Mm.
You can offer them, right?
Yeah.
You suggest them, but you can't demand them because it's not your show.
Mm-hmm.
You're being brought in to help someone create their vision.
Yeah.
That's awesome to be asked that, to be a part of that is huge. But you have to keep in mind that it's their vision that you're trying to help create. If you have your own vision, then you go create your own vision, and
Right.
you can demand what you want from other people because it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't demand from someone else what their vision is. Well, no, I do it like this. Well, as a director, well, I don't want it like that. I want it like this. It's not going to work. You got to do it like this. That's not going to help anybody, you
Yeah.
know. So to me, it's about part of being part of that creative process as well,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in helping someone see their vision,
Yeah.
you know, because everyone sees it in their brain or their, you know, their mind, or when they're laying in bed before they go to sleep, and they see it, but they may not know how to achieve it,
Right.
or to, you know, so to be able to help someone facilitate seeing their vision, yeah, that's huge,
Yeah. You
you
telling
know.
a story.
Yeah, you're helping them tell the story,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so much fun to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the collaborative aspect of it too, because, as you said, you have to be willing to throw your ideas out, but not cling to them, just let them go. And
yeah,
then there might be times when you had an idea, and all of a sudden whoever you're working with, whether it's the director or if you're the fight director and you're working with the stunt coordinator, and they have a different idea, and you're like, whoa, I didn't think about it that way. So like
yeah,
you learn something too from that process.
yeah. And
Mhm.
and then it makes you go, oh, wait a minute, and all of a sudden you take off in a different direction from what you were thinking, just because of what you said. Like they said something, or they put their own little sprinkle on, and it makes you think. And then you come back with a new idea, and they're like, yes, that's it, that's brilliant, you know, genius.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, it's that, the collaboration is awesome too. And it's not just with the, you know, the director or the writers or the coordinator or the choreographer. It's with everybody. It's hair,
Mhm.
makeup, wardrobe. They're all being brought in. It's the grips, it's the lighting, you know, the lighting, the DPs, and like camera operators and focus pullers, and, you know, sound. I mean, the amount of people that go into the production, they're all being brought in to help create this, help facilitate the creative vision, bringing this vision to fruition, which is
Yeah.
like, wow, you know. Some people just see it as a, yeah, you know, it's a job, whatever, and sometimes it is just a job, you know, to if you want it to be.
Mhm.
But, you know, for me, I'm like, yeah, how can I help? If someone's lifting and carrying something, you need any help?
Mhm.
I'll help you with that. You know, it can't. You're not part of the union. No one's looking. And you're like, I don't know. You know, like,
Yeah.
I just literally, if we're all working together, let's work together. Let's help each other as much as we can. You know,
Agreed.
and
Agreed.
that and a lot of people, you know, on productions feel the same way, and they appreciate when, you know, you're uh, not a nice person. Like, some, you know, some people are just kind of grumpy.
Yeah.
You know what a friend of mine and I call crispy bacon.
Oh, I like that.
Well, there's a reason why it's crispy bacon. So,
Okay.
um, I worked on a film, and I asked, it was brought down to a film, and I asked my friend who was coordinating. I said, "Is, you know, everything good? Are there any, you know, grumpy, you know, people?" And he goes, "Yeah, there's one guy, blah blah blah." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he goes, you'll know when you know, you'll hear him, you'll know." I go, "Okay." So it's a night shoot. It's cold, and craft services brings out, you know, coffee and hot, you know, cocoa,
Yeah.
and then there's these two chafing dishes of, you know, food,
Mhm.
and the pancake, like, one is filled with pancakes, one's filled with bacon, and then there's syrup. So what you would do, you take the bacon, you roll it up in the pancake, you dip it in the syrup, you got a sweet savory treat.
Oh, I like that.
Well, it's the middle of the night, it's cold, you're like drinking coffee, you're like, ooh, a little treat. And I said, I'm going to go see what it is. And this guy comes up, and I don't know who he is, you know, the grumpy guy, but he comes up, and I'm looking at the stuff, and he opens the tray, and he goes, crispy bacon. Like, he's disappointed. And I said, I go, what do you mean? And he goes, it's crispy bacon. He goes, I like mine a little chewy. And I go, but it's bacon. And he goes, yeah, crispy bacon. And I went, and I looked over at my friend and I just kind of went like, is it him? And he just went, and I go, oh. So I tell him the story. He starts laughing. So from now on, anybody who's like a grumpy person, we just go, crispy bacon. Like you're getting paid very well. These people are bringing food to you and you're complaining?
Yeah.
Come on. About crispy bacon, it's bacon. Everybody loves bacon.
Yeah.
I mean, people that don't eat meat, but
Yeah.
everybody else that eats meat, they like bacon.
Yeah.
So come on.
Johnny, I love that. Yeah, it's about gratitude.
Yeah.
It's about knowing how lucky you are, the small blessings and the big blessings of what you get to do, and looking at the glass as half full instead of crispy bacon, half empty. So I love that. That's like a new saying now I'm going to adopt.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, the first thing you for me, again, the way I grew up, I wake up in the morning, I'm good. I'm good for the day. Now, are there going to be things that are going to bother me throughout the day? Annoy me, whatever traffic. I do live in Los Angeles, so that is a thing.
Atlanta too. Whew.
Yeah, no, I've been to Atlanta. It's sometimes worse than here,
Yeah.
but yeah, are there going to be certain annoyances and things that I wish it went this way rather than that way, whatever. But yeah, there are. I'm human, but if I stay aware, I don't hold on to that. I let it go. It just goes because I realize I woke up today. That's a start. That's a really, really good start because a lot of people don't.
Yes.
You know.
I think that's a good reminder for all of us, Johnny, is to really appreciate those blessings. And it's your mindset. It's how you choose to look at things.
Oh,
No matter, yeah.
Yeah, everything's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it people can say and do whatever, but it's how you choose to react to it.
Yeah.
And most people, I would say the majority of human beings um, aren't. I would say they react from a trigger uh, that the person is pulling, right? So say something, they do something that triggers something in the other person that they're not completely 100% comfortable with within themselves, right? So
maybe an insecurity or a past emotional scar or a fear or something.
Yeah, something when they were a little kid, or 2 weeks ago or a month ago or whatever, that's driving them nuts, and now they just react rather than going, this person may just be living their life and doing and saying because they're, for whatever reason, they're hurt or they're upset or whatever. It really depends on how I want to choose to respond to this. So I need to be really aware and take a moment before I respond to understand how, and first understand, okay, what, like, if it does trigger, excuse me, if it does trigger me, what is this trigger? What is this? What is this? Not ask them, what is this with me? Why is this doing this? Why is this making me feel this way? Because this person is just living their life the way they know how, the best way they know how. Yeah. So what is this about? What is this about me? This is about me. This is my feeling. And if I'm going to be a responsible person about my whole being, I have to be responsible for my feelings. Mm-hmm. I can't say Jackie pissed me off. I chose to get angry about something that Jackie said. Mm-hmm. If I say you pissed me off, or you make me happy, or you give me joy, or you give me anger, I'm giving you all the power over me. I don't want anybody to do that. I want to be in control of myself. So I have to be in control of my feelings as well, because they're mine. They're not yours. Yeah. You don't tell me how to feel. You don't control me. So I choose how I feel.
Yeah.
And then I have to be responsible for that. Right.
Yeah. I love that because and it's hard to do because I
It's
know I'm a very emotional person and lots of times my emotions overrun my logic. That's the times when if anybody's a Star Trek fan, you wish you were Spock, to be able to purge all emotion.
right.
But you're right. It's not so much what the other person, it's not on them. It's how you're perceiving it or how you're taking it in or choosing to use a filter or not use a filter on what you're hearing or seeing. And yeah, you're right, Johnny. It's your reaction to it that causes the joy or the anxiety or the strife. And if we
Or
can choose to control those, take a breath and like let our mind think about and sort through the emotions, I think things might de-escalate in terms of
or
relationships with one another or even just your pent up emotion.
right. And but we have to understand where that comes from. So if you say something right, and I'm like, and I start getting you're just living your life.
Yeah.
So I need to understand, why did that piss me off? Why did that upset me? Why did that make me feel hurt? Blah blah blah. Where does it go? Where does it go to? Because it's not you. You know what I mean? Like there's people out on the street, strangers, that people get up, oh, this guy said something to me and I got pissed off, blah blah blah. That guy doesn't know you well enough to piss you off. You know what I mean?
We take it too personally, right? We shouldn't take things
No,
so
take nothing,
much. Mm.
because it if it's a feeling, understand that feeling and understand where it came from. Then you can deal with it all day. Then you can go, oh, right. I remember that made me feel like I did when I was in third grade when the nun punched me in the back because I looked at the kid's paper, whatever it was. That injustice made me angry, and that's how I felt about that, what they said or whatever. But once you understand that, you don't react in that way anymore. Right. I'm not an 8-year-old in third grade anymore. I don't need to be scared like that because all anger comes from fear, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not a third grader. I'm not 8 years old. The nun's not punching me anymore,
Yeah.
So I don't need to react like that ever again.
Yeah.
So you need we need as human beings to try to do that, not
Yeah.
not just for ourselves, but for the world. you know,
Yes. Yeah.
peace. It's we're all humans. There are
Yes.
no that's the one thing that you know I don't understand when people go, oh, well, what race is he? What race? I was asked what race I was on a to get a COVID test. I was asked what race I was when I had to get a COVID test for work in Chicago.
Oh,
And the woman who was asking me was African American, and there was a Caucasian lady sitting next to her. And she said, what race? And I said, the human race. And she looked up and just smiled. And then the other lady looked up and smiled. And she goes, okay. And I said, I'm not going to identify myself, and I don't want to identify other people as another race. We're all humans.
yeah.
We have different ethnic backgrounds. You're
Mhm.
Irish, I'm Irish.
Yeah.
Where you come from, around the world globally, where you come from, whether you come from Spain or Africa or Italy or Germany, blah blah blah. I mean, if you study science, which I was a biology major when I was in school.
I love it. We have that in common too.
Yeah, I mean, every human being came from Africa.
Yeah.
That was because all the continents were connected at one point,
Mhm.
and then they separated, and people, kind of like an ice block, got stuck on it, and
Yeah.
they wandered around, and and all of a sudden they were here. And, oh, we like this. Let's hang out here. Let's hang out here. And our complexion changes.
Mhm.
Our eye color changes. Everything changes due to your environment to
Exactly.
adapt, adjust, overcome, survive.
Yeah.
and that's what it's all about. But we're all it's just the human race.
Yes.
So
And
when
that absolutely. And that can connect like to any of our equestrian listeners to horses. A horse, that's a horse. You look at a horse and it might be a thoroughbred. And you look at a Clydesdale, the first thing out of a person's mouth is, oh, it's a horse.
right,
It's not like, oh, that's a thoroughbred or it's not one's better than the other. They all developed in different regions of the world and
yep,
according to the environment they adapted, and that's how their genotype affected their phenotype and how they look.
yeah,
But they're a horse and they're all wonderful and they all have this amazing things that they share and their unique differences. And I love what you brought up about that, because I remember there was something that sticks out of my mind is Morgan Freeman, love him, was in an interview years ago and someone asked him, how do we combat racism? And he said, stop talking about it.
right. Stop.
I'm just a man. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
just like you, just like you, just like you, just like you. I mean, it it's just it's so silly to me. It bothers me,
yeah,
and it's because it's people aren't thinking. They're allowing themselves to be manipulated by whatever. I mean,
yes,
the indoctrination of certain belief systems starts at a young age.
yes,
You
yes,
know, whether it's religion, whether it's racism, that kind of hatred, that kind of belief in certain things. It just starts at a young age.
mm-hmm.
At some point, again, being a responsible human being, a responsible adult, you have to start questioning everything,
Yeah,
everything that you were brought up with, and everything that someone else told you is, oh, this is it, this is the way. You got to question it and find what works for you
yeah,
with your own, because everyone has their own thing.
mm-hmm.
I may believe in things that you don't believe. You may
Right,
believe in things you don't believe. But it's what makes sense to me.
mm-hmm.
What makes sense to you, I have no problem allowing people to do that. But the problem I do have is when people don't go and look for those things for themselves, and they just get spoon fed whatever someone else wants. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yeah,
Oh, no, son. Here, heroin is good.
yeah,
What? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Oh, no, it isn't. No,
exactly.
it's not good. you know.
Yes, yeah,
But they were telling me since I was 6 that it's good for you. Well, they were a heroin addict. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
at some point you have to question what's going on with everything.
yeah. You have to exercise your freedom to think for yourself.
Yeah.
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 And talking about, just different influences and things like that we have, good and bad from people that we work with, and kind of going back to when you were talking earlier with the collaborative effort that goes behind filmmaking.
Mm.
Um, what do you think are some of the most important character traits as a performer to go into this process of creating a project, to get the most out of it and to be the most collaborative? What are some important traits that you think really help to free people up and to glean the information that you get from that? And what's the funnest part of that whole process for you?
Um, for me, I literally, was just like, I'll turn this off and I'll turn these on. And I listen as much as I can. I try to, not trying to be a creeper or anything, but I'll eavesdrop on conversations with director and stunt coordinator, or stunt coordinator, director, and actor, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
hear because you don't always get the information as a stunt performer or even as a choreographer. As a coordinator, you get more information, but sometimes you don't get it all. Sometimes you have to sign non-disclosure agreements and not talk about it and blah blah blah.
Right.
So, so when I'm on set, I just turn this off and turn my ears on and try to listen and try to be one step a little bit ahead whether it's, hey, we're setting up for that, ratchet, or that, the high fall, or the whatever, and trying to be on it before we're there, to help the coordinator out, or to help the production out,
Yes.
That's the biggest, for me, that's the biggest thing, is trying to gather as much information as possible to be the best, just trying to say that, just to be ready,
Yeah.
and be the best, as best you can with being ready.
Yeah. To help the team.
Yeah, to help the team, the production, everybody. I mean, every production is departments, right? The hair and makeup department, camera department, lighting department, stunt department, blah 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 blah. You stay within your department, you help your department, but all the departments are helping the production, helping the vision. So we all still work together, but you don't want to go too far outside your lines and be like, hey, bro, don't put that over there. Yeah. Our guy's flying through here, man. You can't put your light there. There's a way to communicate.
Yes.
Hey, sorry, what's your name? Michael. Hey, Michael, how you doing? We're going to be rehearsing this with this guy. This is his trajectory, and show him where he's going to go. Blah, blah. You go, oh yeah, yeah. Everybody will help you out. Nobody wants to hurt. No. But it's how you approach it. So that's, again, it's having that gratitude that you're working. It's great to have a job,
yes.
So be courteous.
Yeah.
Be courteous even when people aren't courteous to you.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't matter if they're not courteous to you. Don't take that person.
Yes.
Oh, that guy, I said hi to him. He didn't even say hi to me. Well, maybe he didn't want to say hi to you. Maybe he's got something else going on in his mind. Maybe someone's sick or something. Doesn't matter. Move and do your job. But don't stop being courteous because other people aren't being courteous.
Exactly. And it's also not only is it the right thing to do, not only is it more peaceful for your mental state and your ability to concentrate and deliver the job that you've been brought on set to do, but also, Johnny, it's such a small world, the film industry. And whoever you work with, that gaffer that you worked with 5 years ago, that maybe you brought him coffee on a cold night, they're your first AD, or then they're your director. Everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the coordinator, if you're not coordinating, you're working for a coordinator or whatever, and they hear from hair and makeup or wardrobe, oh, she was great. Oh, that guy was great. He didn't complain. He blah, blah, blah. Blah. That's huge. When hair and makeup or the wardrobe or any other department goes, we don't like that guy. That guy's this. He did this. He did that. She did this. She did that. Blah, blah, blah. You're probably not going to get hired again from that coordinator, because the coordinator, and a lot of directors like to work with a lot of the same people, camera operators, director of photography guys, lighting guys. They have a core team too that they like to work with.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a coordinator too, a stunt coordinator. They're like, no, I want this guy working on my film because he did my last 2 films and they were great. And then that coordinator has a core group of stunt people, blah, blah, blah. So if you're not courteous, people are going to hear about it, or, coordinator's going to hear about it. And then you don't have a job next time.
Yeah. So, it's the same thing with the horse world. I mean, you get to become a professional equestrian. You have your grooms, you have your people that you trust with your horses. You have your student riders, that you really trust. You get your core group, and that's your group. You follow horse show to horse show, and that even the owners of the horses, and that kind of thing, that help financially support the process. So it's for our equestrian listeners, there are so many similarities in terms of the business aspect of it and the collaboration and the teamwork behind, whether it's producing a horse at a high level competition or producing a film or television show.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is it's show business. There's business in it. It's not just the show. So you act like a professional.
Yeah.
Do the best job that you can.
Yeah.
And if you don't think you're the right person for the job, don't take the job. If someone came up to me and said, "Oh, we need the, blah blah blah," you're a good height and size, I would go, I'm not that good at this, but my friend is, and he's about my height and my weight as well. And you pass friend. That's, again, like I said earlier, that you need to understand your weaknesses as well as all the skills that you have. You need to understand what you're not good at.
Yeah.
Don't fake it.
Yeah.
That'll make the coordinator look bad, make the production look bad. The director will be like, what's going on, blah blah blah, whatever. You want to do the best you can. Now, if some of those things that you are not good at, or they're one of your weaknesses, you want to get better at it. Yeah, by all means, train, and get better at it, so that when that job comes around, and you can take it and feel confident with taking it. So it's not just about going, I got all the acquired all the required skills. I love seeing that. When people post that on whatever, hey, so I got all the required skills. Do you? I know I don't.
That's a good point, Johnny, because we've seen that a lot on resumes and people posting on social media and stuff. Yeah. And I think it became so much like almost just like a moniker, that I think you just put it on there just because you think, oh, I guess I got to put that on there because I guess that's maybe what they want to see. But you're right. You're like, are you? I not.
Here, look, if someone said, we need you to ride a horse, to me, we need you to ride a horse, blah, 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 this and that, I'll go, no. I've been on probably 4 horses. Not all great responses. And every person that it's funny, every person that I know that is really good at horses, I tell them the stories. They're like, yeah, the horse knew you didn't know what you were doing.
Oh yeah. They know right away.
And I'm like, the horse knew it? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, makes sense. Yeah. And I just never really had the chance or the time to get better at that.
Right.
So I have no problem saying, call my friend so and so if you want a horse thing. You know what I mean? Like, I have no problem giving it up to someone else. But a lot of people say that, all required skills, I have them all. I'm like, don't do that, because I don't think everyone has the required skills. I know some amazing, talented stunt performers that can't do very simple things. In the stunt performing world, but they can do amazing things. As they're boy, all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
But then this very simple thing, it's like, whoa, like you're so talented in this one area, but you're a little uncoordinated over here. Like that, it's weird, But everybody has something like that.
Yeah. Like you said, know your strengths
and know your weaknesses.
And work on your weaknesses, but also know what your strengths is, what makes you unique and what you can bring to the table. Right, Johnny?
Yeah. And never stop improving your strengths.
Right.
Because they're strong for a reason. They're strong because you like to do them. Right?
Yeah.
When you're bad at something, you don't put a lot of time into it because you get frustrated with it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you train, like, say your left leg is weak at kicking, train that one first. Put more time into that leg so you can bring it up to the right leg. But don't neglect your right leg. Continue to do your right leg, but do your left leg kicks first.
Yeah.
So you put more time, you put more energy into it. Most people go, oh, I'm going to kick, and then they start doing their kicks or whatever it is, punches or motorbike riding or whatever. I'm going to do my, whatever it is. They do what they're good at first, because it gives them a feeling of, yay,
yeah,
I'm cool. No, do the thing that you're bad at first. Fail, learn, get better at it. Walk away from it every time going, okay, I figured something else out. I'm getting better, getting better at that. And then go and do the things that your strengths are. Do, so they stay at a certain level, but that also gives you that feeling like, okay, I'm not that uncoordinated.
So you were talking about the fighting. And would you say that your years of different fight training has also helped form how you view life and how you view challenges and strengths and weaknesses? And it's kind of like, we look at so many of historically of, the wise samurai or the wise kung fu warrior. They're wise for a reason, because they've probably been broken down and built back up again, or they know their strength, they know their weaknesses. Would you say that your years of fight training has also helped formulate how you view the world and how you view daily situations?
Yes, 100%. The best thing to me about martial arts is the humbling. Again, you think you're good, you think you're tough, you think you're whatever, and then you have a 15-year-old beat you up in judo, and which I did. I had a 15-year-old kid just start quit pat, quit pat, quit pat. Just I was like, okay, and and then you have a guy that in another class, whether it's grappling or striking or whatever, you're like, he's older and skinny, whatever, and then he hits you, and you're just like, how did that happen? Like, how did you generate that power? So the humbling effect of martial arts is what I really, really enjoy, because it makes you realize that you're not any better than anybody else, and you should never underestimate anyone else on the street, or in your life, because you don't know. Like, if you ran into this one guy that I used to grapple with, you'd be like, oh, he's just this old kind of skinny man, bald and blah, blah, blah. And he would tear you apart. He would beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
So that to me is what's great about martial arts, is the humbling of it, like getting beat up and going back and
for more
and up again but you improve. It's just like we were talking about weaknesses and strength. My cousin and I got beat up for a year because we were the new guys in grappling class and judo. We were the new guys, so we didn't know anything, and they just beat the crap out of us for a whole year. But we kept going back because we got a little better every time. We learned a little bit. It's like the saying in jiu-jitsu or the saying in martial arts: you don't win or lose, you win or learn.
Oh, I love that.
Like, because everyone feels, oh, I'm a loser, and they create this loser mentality. It's like, okay, I lost that. I had to tap, or I got choked out, or whatever, or the guy kicked me in the face, and I had to take a knee or whatever. I didn't lose the fight. Well, I mean, technically, I lost the fight,
right?
But how did I lose? What did I do wrong? Again, working on strengthening your weaknesses, weakness, or however you want to see it.
You only lose if you don't get back up again.
Yeah, exactly. Or you quit. You walk away and I'm going to play badminton or whatever. And badminton's fun too.
Yeah.
But right. It doesn't matter what it is: badminton, motorcycle riding, horseback riding, martial arts, whatever it is. You're going to lose. I mean, you're going to lose. But if you see it as losing, it can make you go, I don't want to do this anymore. But if you look at it as, all right, there's something I need to learn here that I just haven't figured out yet. You don't do this. You go on a slight incline, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, I got that one. And you start to improve.
Yeah. I
But
had someone that once told me nothing exciting ever happens in your comfort zone.
There you go. It's true. Yeah.
For up and coming stunt performers that maybe haven't come from a martial arts competitive background, maybe they didn't compete in Taekwondo or didn't compete in Wushu, what martial arts would you suggest that they start training in to kind of give them an overall background for what's coming in film and television and a good basis to form their movements from? I mean, there's probably not a one distinct answer because you're going to get so many styles and depending on the project that comes in, but what would be a one or a couple good options that they could maybe start with and just maybe find their passion? And maybe that's also a question of what's your favorite, what do you enjoy?
Well, I've been asked this question before from people going, well, what should I train? What should I study? What should I learn? Blah, blah, blah. Now, for me, and this is what I told people. Every martial arts class, whether it's Taekwondo, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, Krav Maga, boxing, whatever, kickboxing, Muay Thai, whatever. When you go in, there's always a free class. You always get to take a class for free. Take the class. See if it gels with you. See if it triggers something in you. There's that word again, trigger, right?
Yeah.
So see if it connects you to something within yourself, and then train it. Like if you go, yeah, the jujitsu thing was a little weird, and people were rolling on me and sweating on me. I didn't like that. But the boxing thing was cool. Take boxing. I like the kicking thing, blah, blah, blah. Do the kicking thing. But do something.
Yeah.
Do something that you have to learn. That makes you move in a different way than you've ever moved before. When I injured my knee and I was doing grappling, jiu-jitsu, nogi, submission wrestling, whatever. And I couldn't kick, and I was teaching Taekwondo at the time as well, and I couldn't kick. I couldn't, get on the ground and stuff. So I started to box because I'm like, well, I can throw punches and whatever. And I went into class and worked with the instructor with the mitts, and I threw one punch. I was like, yeah, and I thought I knew what I was doing. And he just went, okay, calm down. And I was like, huh? And he's like, the power's there. Let's work on your technique. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, what's this? And then I realized from working with him, I have no clue what I'm doing when it comes to boxing. And my dad was a boxer for Notre Dame.
Oh, wow. Oh, for Notre Dame. My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he showed me some stuff when I was a kid and stuff like that. But at that time, I wanted to be Bruce Lee. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I went, wow, I really don't know what I'm doing when it comes to this. And it's a martial art. Boxing is martial art. So I was like, do you teach privates? And he's like, yeah. And I took, I don't know how many privates with him, but enough for him to ask me to teach the class one time.
Nice.
And that was a huge compliment. Yeah. And then it was probably 3 years into training with him. He said, you need to fight. He said, I can't do anything more with you. You need to get in there and know what it's like, And we would spar every once in a while. And, on Saturdays, a group of us would go in and spar with each other, light sparring and stuff. But that was one thing that I thought I knew what I was doing. And I just went, wow, I really have no clue. So I took the time to learn it. So as far as, learning for young stunt people coming up, try it all. Something will click with one of them. You're going to go, oh yeah, I want to do this. Whether it doesn't matter what it is, and get as good as you can with it. And then pick something else, learn something else. Because the style, I mean, John Wick movies,
Yes,
have changed the way a lot of people see the fighting because, you know, before it was Jason Bourne was like the hot thing,
right.
you know, a lot
Very
of,
distinctive, unique fighting
yeah,
style and camera movements that had never been done before.
right, a lot of close quarter, combat hand movements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then on Wick came out, and the guys that did that, they were judo players and jujitsu players and um, some of the Southeast Asian martial arts as well. They mixed in there, but the judo and the jujitsu stuff, especially the judo, wasn't familiar to the audience.
Mm.
So when you see someone getting flipped around, a human being getting flipped through the air and blah 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 with you know ease, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And that's what judo is. It's impressive because you're chucking another human being, in the air, and then you hit them with the earth, right?
Yes. With just a simple change of balance or just using
Yeah,
their own body weight. Yeah.
little turn, hip, kick, whatever. But that was impressive to the audience, and I think that's what really made people go, "Oh my gosh!" And the style that they filmed it in and everything was cool. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, it was just slick. It was cool.
Yeah.
Every dude was like, "That's what I want to be."
Yeah.
Like this badass killer that has cool cars and passports, and everybody wanted to be that. So
Yeah. But it's
um,
even become like a phrase. Like it's become like, oh, it's so John Wick, or it's very John Wick style. Like it's become its own entity.
oh yeah, no, I mean I've worked on it was a music video, and they were like, "Yeah, we want kind of like John Wick style fight," and I was like, "Okay," and then it wasn't a John Wick style fight because the artist couldn't. There wasn't enough time to work with the artist to get them
Sure.
to be proficient enough at anything like that.
Sure.
But it is. You're exactly right. It's a thing. It's a style. They want the John Wick style, or they want the Raid style. If you ever seen the Raid, you ever see the Raid?
I've not seen that. No.
Indonesian film. You really good
Indonesian?
Indonesian film. You should watch.
Okay.
Yeah, some cool stuff. Some fun.
Nice.
Yeah, some really fun stuff in that. So a friend of mine, and I don't think he'll mind me saying his name, Will Leong, amazing stunt guy, amazing martial artist, just a super cool human being. Um, he he was teaching a colleague class just out in the park, and I happened to run into him. I was training a friend of mine with some boxing stuff, and we saw each other. He's like, "Grab a stick," and we grabbed a stick, and he just, we joined in. Anyway, he used a term which I thought was really good. He goes, "I'll teach, uh, I'll teach everyone from a John Wayne punch to a John Wick punch."
Mm.
Right. So if you follow that timeline from John Wayne fights, where it's grab the apple from the tree and pass it to your friend, and or grab the beer from the bar and pass it to your friend, whatever it is. Along the lines, you watch films through the years. You watch the films in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Now we're into the 20s. Um, the fighting styles have changed because audiences, especially with UFC now, people are getting more savvy with what real fighting is. So they want to see that in the films. Now, if you need to throw a John Wayne punch, or a big, haymaker or whatever, that's easy to do. But if they want you to be clean and sharp and be more like a boxer or a Kali or a C-lock guy and stuff like that, and you don't know that, it's going to be hard to create that. So it's good to study all of them. So for me, my concept is learn technically sound fighting, whether it's boxing, whether it's, Kali, learn the techniques properly, because then it's easy to make them ugly. The camera didn't really see that punch. Can you bring it a little further out rather than boom in here? Can you bring it a little further out so we can see? Yeah, no problem. But if all you know is big, ugly punches and they want you to be clean, it's going to take a lot longer. Mm-hmm. So it's easier to make it ugly when you know it clean, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like I said, there was the Jason Bourne style of fighting. Then, now there's the John Wick style of fighting. And now everyone's kind of blending a lot of that into the movies. Bullet Train, which Will Leong worked on.
Nice.
They incorporate a lot of that stuff, and then, there's special forces, military style, like where they're like, I've worked with some guys and they're like, well, we wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. This is what we would do. And then that's hard to show with the camera sometimes, that's why I like a lot of jujitsu stuff. People are like, well, I don't know what they're doing down there, but there's a whole lot going on down there.
Oh, yes.
as you know, yeah. Right. You're constantly, attacking and defending at the same time. There's a lot going on there, mm-hmm. So that's sometimes hard for the camera to capture unless they really set it up and they do inserts of someone slipping in a choke or, stuff like that. But like with the military guys, they're kind of like, well, why are you doing it like that? And we're like, well, we need to do it like this so the camera can see it, so the audience can see it. And they're like, no, take it out, take the person out, but sometimes that doesn't work cinematically. So you have to adjust it. You can use the techniques that they're employing, but you have to maybe tweak it a little bit so that the audience can understand what it is,
Yes.
But yeah, there's definitely stylized, fights. And I've heard that phrase, oh, we want it, like John Wick style. We want it Jason Bourne style. No, we just want it to be a barroom brawl, And that was one of the films that I worked on was a Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
and there's
so cool.
60 guys on a boat, on the deck. And the coordinator said, get with someone and work out a fight. He said, I want it to look like a barroom brawl, because the camera was wide and it was filming all of us. And they just did like a melee. So there's people flipping and falling down. And, so that was so much fun. That was a lot of fun. But again, that's a style, a barroom brawl,
Yeah.
You get disarmed, you pick up a barrel or or a piece of like a box and you smash somebody with it, so you just start playing like that,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The fight adapts with what the style of the story is calling for.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And you also have to keep in mind the character. What does the character know? So as a stunt person, I think it's very important to take acting classes and do a play and be an actor. Know what they're going through. Know what they have to process. Mm-hmm. what they have to get into, because if their character has a fight, they have to fight like that character, not like themselves. Because they may be. I worked with a guy that was a really good boxer, an actor, really good, but he was a cop that maybe did a little, learned some stuff on the police force, but he wasn't a trained boxer. He wasn't a killer. So he had to kind of soften his edges a little bit for his character. Mm. So you have to look at it in that regard as well.
Yeah.
And again, like I said earlier, sometimes you don't get all this information, as a choreographer. Mm-hmm. I worked on a film. I didn't get to read the script because they wouldn't. There was an NDA, and there's only certain people get the script, but they would give me ideas, kind of like this. have you ever seen this scene in this movie? Kind of like that, kind of like this, but not that. We
Yeah.
want to kind of like this, but we don't want to replicate that. And then you have to go and, with the information that you have regarding the character, uh, put something together, as well as match it with what the actor can do well physically. You have to play to their strengths, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have time to work on their weaknesses.
Right.
Right. So you have to
Yeah.
play to their strengths. So you have to keep that stuff in mind as well.
Yeah. It's so amazing, all the different aspects that come into making a story, and the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more efficient and enjoyable the process can become.
Yeah.
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 And talking about like enjoyable things, like you've gotten a chance to work with so many great actors on so many great projects. I've heard this story, but I would love for our audience to hear your story of how you got a unique nickname on
Yeah.
the Pirates of the Caribbean set.
I know exactly. Okay. So again, my friend heard the coordinator and heard the fight choreographer talking about they needed one guy to fill the role, one more stunt guy. He needed to be a good fighter, and he needed to be SAG. And there were two other guys in line. One guy didn't have a SAG card, really good martial artist, but didn't have a SAG card. And the other guy, really good martial artist, had a SAG card, done a bunch of stuff. From what I was told, not a lot of people that were on the core team got along with him. And so they were like, well, maybe, we don't know, we don't want any trouble because we're going to third world countries and little islands, and we need a tight crew.
Right.
It's not going to argue, not going to cause any waves and stuff. So anyway, my friend said, I have a guy, and he threw my name in. I went in, auditioned I auditioned with the fight choreographer, for the coordinator. We did two tries, and then I got, the coordinator sat me down and basically said, we're going to small places. I need people that are going to get along. And I said, yeah, no problem. I, spent 10 days in a hut in Fiji, I'm fine. And he's like, it's not going to be that bad. But I go, no, it was great. He's like, okay, cool. And then, 2 weeks later, they said, you're leaving for the Caribbean. And so we left, and we were in this little house that was like the stunt shack. That's where we put all our gear and stuff. And I had probably a book of contracts, NDAs that I had to sign.
Wow.
And so I'm signing it, and there's there's a bunch of stunt people around, and the assistant coordinator comes up and says, hey, if anybody has an extra hand, help JD with his paperwork, because JD's got a lot of paperwork. And someone goes, who the F is JD? And he goes, well, John Donohue, he doesn't have a nickname yet. And I looked up at him and I said, well, actually, I was kind of hoping for Wild Squirrel. And I said it to make the two or three friends that I knew that I worked with before in the room. I just said it to make them laugh, which they did. So I got my response that I wanted. And the assistant coordinator looks at me and he goes, well, Wild Squirrel it is, I guess. I don't know. And he leaves. Right. So then subsequently, everyone just started calling me Squirrel. And they cut the wild out of it. And they're like, hey, Squirrel, hey, Squirrel, hey, Squirrel. And so there's one day, there was this running scene, and they had this one guy do it, and the director didn't like the way he was doing it. Mm-hmm. And they tried another guy, and the director's like, yeah, who else you have? And the assistant coordinator was there working with us at the time, and he goes, Squirrel! And I went running over, and I'm all in mocap outfit and stuff, and he goes, director wants to talk to you. And director Gore Verbinski, who directed Pirates.
Yes.
And he's like, he goes, yeah. He goes, Dan, who else you got? And he goes, I got Squirrel here. And he goes, oh, okay, Squirrel. And not like blinking an eye, thinking like Squirrel. He just went, oh, okay, Squirrel. He goes, I need you to run from here all the way over to there, carrying the chest, but like don't move the chest too much. Try to keep it as still as possible. And I was like, okay. So I'm walking to my mark, and it's a coconut grove. So there's like coconuts on the ground, there's holes in the ground. And I'm like, I got to be really light on my feet. I don't want to roll an ankle or break a leg or whatever. So as I'm walking to my mark, I'm thinking, I'm like, when you run, you use your arms.
Yes.
You move your arms. And walking over to the mark, and I'm going, how can I run? How can I run without using my arms? And earlier in the day, when we were waiting for the van to pick us up, there were a bunch of chickens running around. I don't know if you ever seen a chicken run. They just like they're straight up, they're straight up, and they just go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, run like a chicken. Like it's all like you're up, your body doesn't move, but your legs are just going. So I was like, just run like a chicken. It's really what I thought. And I got skinny legs. I got chicken legs, so it works, right? So it's true. So they're like, okay, in action. And I ran, I get to the spot. They're like, run back. One more, do it again. And they're like, cut. And he was like, wow, that's great. And I come back to the assistant coordinator, and he just gave me a wink and a thumbs up, and he's like, good job. I'm like, cool, great. And they're like, yeah, cut, move on. Let's, move on to that. And I'm like, cool, they got it. And so the next day, we're in the same coconut grove. We're all hanging out, and there's 9 of us in these mocap suits, like little hats and stuff like that. And we're all sitting around, and my friend Derek, who put my name in, he and I are goofing around with each other, trying to make everybody laugh. And I hear squirrel. Yeah, I go running back over, and assistant coordinators there with the director and Johnny Depp. And the director goes, squirrel. He's like, you remember that run you did yesterday? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I just need you to do it for Johnny, for an eye line for Johnny. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. He goes, Johnny, squirrel, Johnny. And I look at Johnny and I go, Johnny. And he goes, squirrel. And and to me, that just tickled me that I have the director and the lead actor calling me squirrel, which to me is a funny word.
Yeah.
If you say squirrel over and over again, your mouth starts getting weird. Squirrel. So it's a funny little word.
Yeah.
The fact that I have these guys calling me squirrel, like I won that game, whatever game that is. And, so I do the run, and then he throws the coconut and knocks my head off, and they're like, squirrel, we need you to be behind him without your head on, and do whatever. And was bumping into trees and falling over and trying to find my head, and I pick up a coconut and I try to put it on and all that stuff. And afterwards, my friend Derek said, he goes, dude, I was watching that whole time. And he's like, the director went up to Johnny and said, Johnny, this guy's doing what you do. He said, he's stealing the moments behind you. Like, it's not about you right now. And he goes, great job. And it was, that was it. That was huge for me, and it was fun. And I was on and off that because they filmed the second and third one back to back.
Okay.
I was on and off that for about 2 years because I injured my knee. Here's another thing. If you're on a film and you're on the run of it, don't go and do something stupid like go train. Just relax, stay healthy so you can finish the project. Because I went and trained thinking I'll be fine, and I tore my ACL.
Oh.
ACL surgery or minimum recovery is 6 months after surgery. And the really cool thing is the coordinator called me at 4 months, said, how's your knee doing? I said, it's great. He goes, we're looking to bring you back next month. I said, no problem. I hung up the phone, picked up the phone, called my doctor. I said, here's the deal. I'm going back on this film. What do I need to do?
That's awesome.
I went back at 5 months. So I went back to work at 5 months. And I was there for about a month. And then it was a long break. And I kept doing my rehab and therapy. And then they brought me back for the another bunch of months for the third film, which was really, really huge that the coordinator did that. I'll forever be in his debt for that, because a lot of times they'll just be like, Dad, just get somebody else.
Yeah.
He brought me back, which was really cool.
So he
Yeah,
appreciated your work and your work ethic and your personality on set. And
I hope so.
yeah, yeah. That's so great. Oh my
But
gosh,
yeah,
Johnny.
yeah, that was a fun time.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so exciting. I love that. Which is, and like you said earlier in the interview, is it's the journey, it's the people that you meet,
Mm.
it's enjoying waking up, you're alive, and what is this day going to hold for you? And
Yeah, what can I
you've,
do today?
yeah, and you've done
Yeah.
some amazing, exciting things.
And
What,
I got to train with a lot of legends, you
yeah.
know, like Gene LeBell and
Oh, wow.
Gokor Chivichyan, and I rolled with Ronda Rousey when she had won bronze in the Olympics in judo, and then if you're an Olympic athlete, you're training, 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 training. So once the Olympics are done, she just wanted a break. She just
Yeah.
was chilling out. She came into our grappling school where Gene taught and Gokor taught, and was thinking about coming in and training. And Gokor looked around and he said, "Johnny, roll with Ronda." And I rolled with her for 5 minutes, and she had taken a lot of time off, wasn't in Olympic shape anymore.
Yeah.
And so 5 minutes, she was pretty tired, but she got me in an arm bar 5 times in 5 minutes. And I wasn't going heavy, I wasn't going hard or anything, but she's just super slick and just it's so dialed in, it's so innate now
Yeah.
within her. Just boom, boom, boom. She gets done, she's like, "Thank you." She leaves, and all the guys come over and they're like, "Dude, how is she?" And I'm like, "She's slick with those arm bars." And what did she win all her fights with? Pretty much arm bars, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
She
yeah,
found her specialty.
yeah, yeah. But training with Gene LeBell, he trained with Bruce Lee, and so for me, like 6 degrees of separation. Gene would have me in a headlock, blah blah blah, and I'm thinking he had Bruce Lee in a headlock, and Bruce Lee had him in a headlock because they shared, fighting concepts and ideas and techniques and stuff. So to me, I was just like, this is amazing,
Yeah.
And he was just such a cool guy, such a nice guy. But he knew I was a stunt guy, and he taught every Monday. And he knew I was a stunt guy, so every time they were going to demonstrate something, a technique, he would go, "Donohue, get out of here." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, all right, all right." And then this guy Steve Kim, he was another stunt guy, black belt in our system. He would just throw me around, get me in arm bars, get me in head, Kesikatami, scarf hold, and all these different shoulder locks and all these different things. So it was great. So like he pulled me into every technique that was being shown, you know, which was cool.
That's so great. You had a lot of people that made an impactful moment in your life and left a
Right.
mark, and you're passing their knowledge on. And that's just such a
Trying to do my
thrill.
best. Yeah, trying to do my best with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you most certainly are. And along with that, Johnny, what legacy do you want to leave?
I think the biggest thing for me is to make an impact in someone's life. Whatever whatever that impact is. I want it to be a positive impact. Um Again, if it's through martial arts and it triggers something in them that makes them go, "Ooh, this is amazing." And I want it to be a positive experience.
Yeah.
I want them to say, "Wow, this is really cool. This is fun. You can actually do something with this."
Yeah.
Because where I grew up, saying you wanted to be a stuntman was like you might as well say you want to go to Mars. You know, It- what, you can't do that. You're not in Hollywood. You're not, well, whatever. So to be able to make an impact and to inspire someone to whatever it may be, whatever they may want to do. There's this one girl that I know. She's a she's an amazing rock climber, and
Wow.
her I were talking about it, and she just worked at a coffee shop,
Yeah.
And we were talking about it, and I said, go for it. I said, why not? I said, what do you have to lose? And now she's modeling rock climbing clothes and you know workout gear while she's rock climbing, and she's getting paid for it. She's making a living doing what she loves.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what it's about. A job's a job. I don't mind if I have to, shovel poop or whatever to make money. That's okay. If that money allows me to do the things that I love, then that job's okay. But if you can do a job, or there's a job that is about what you love, and you can get paid for that, i.e. martial arts or stunts or whatever, or I know people that love numbers, and they're an accountant because that's what they love. I think that's great. Go for it. Do If you can do what you love, then you don't work, right?
Yes.
That's the saying, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is really what it's about. A job's a job. Like, I don't mind getting a normal job if I have to get a normal job. Normal meaning not stunts, not film, not
Sure.
whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if that job allows me to continue to study martial arts, or go kayaking, or go hiking, or rock climbing, or taking a rope and rescue course, or whatever, if that allows me to afford those things, then that's okay too.
Yeah.
But you have to have something that you love to do, and do it. I didn't study martial arts until I was a bit older, because my parents, didn't have necessarily the money or the time. My mom was an emergency room nurse. My dad worked in the funeral home. And I'm 10, 12 years old going, I want to go over here and do this thing. And it's across town,
Yeah.
and they're like, we can't get you there. And I'm like, I'll take a bus. And they're like, you're too young. You'll get kidnapped or whatever. I don't know what they thought.
Yeah.
But, so it took me until I was an adult making my own money to get into classes and things like that. And then it just never stopped.
Yeah.
If I can pay for classes, I'm going to pay for them and do them.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's motorcycles, whether it's, jet skis, or high falls, or cars, or horses, or, martial arts, or baseball, or whatever. Do it to the best of your ability, and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because at some point you're not going to be able to do it as well as you did.
Yeah.
Just because we're old.
Yeah. And enjoy your passion, invest in your passion.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. I love it. And Johnny,
Yeah.
you certainly have shared your passion for your craft. And that's what really struck me when I first met you. And I know I'm speaking for myself, and also a lot of the cast at Bourne that has had the great opportunity to work with you and continue working with you, is that we love your enthusiasm. We love your passion and love for what you do. You're all in 110%. And what's made the biggest impact, I think, in one sentence, is you are a perpetual student yourself. You love to learn, and you pass that addiction for learning onto us and onto students. And I'm hoping for all of our audience listening to your interview that you have done that for them as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't stop learning. I mean, you really can, and what, quote from Bruce Lee that I always thought was cool is, ultimately all knowledge is self-knowledge. Meaning, it doesn't matter what you're learning, whether it's accounting, or boxing, or how to ride a horse, or how to put a transmission together. While you're learning those things, you're learning about yourself too, or at least you should be, if you're aware enough to, oh man, this one thing really frustrates me, and why does it frustrate me? Why does that, or whatever it is, and learn about yourself. Okay, all right, take your time, figure it out. And you'll realize, I'm really good at this, but I'm really bad at this too. So again, I'm going to work on what I'm weak with. If that's what you want to do, like computer stuff, things like that, I don't want to get good at that. Right? Yeah. It's a weakness of mine. I need to understand it a little better.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily want to get good at that.
Yeah. It's not your interest.
Not at all. I want to get better at communicating with humans rather than a device.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, the technology can separate sometimes instead of unite. Sometimes it can. It just depends on how you use it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we're grateful for this technology that we have, that we can bring these stories
we can do
out.
This.
Yes, which is so amazing. So
I'm not trying to dump on technology and all that stuff. I think it's amazing.
Yes, I think it's amazing when used properly.
I mean, this is Star Trek stuff right here.
Yes, right.
Because they used to go, and then the person be on the little thing. I mean, that's what this is, which is really cool. Yeah. I mean,
or Jean-Luc Picard would say, put it on the screen.
Yeah, put it on screen. Yeah, but it's that's what's cool about it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't ignite the fires of my passion about life. I know people that love computers. They're, oh my God, it's amazing. Look what I can do.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's awesome. Let's go outside and climb a tree. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Let's see, can we get up to the top of that? Or let's go jump in the ocean and play in those waves or whatever it is. Let's put a gi on and roll around.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. And that's what's fun. That's what makes the world go around, is everyone sharing their different interests and passions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so great.
Yeah. With courtesy.
Yes. With courtesy. Absolutely. Courtesy and appreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Johnny, thank you so very much for your amazing stories, your amazing advice. It was super fun. And we're so grateful that you joined us here on Tir-Kai Tales, and wish you all the best in the future. And again, thank you so much, Wild Squirrel.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, this is great. And I wish you all the best with all this. And I look forward to seeing what you do with it.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you so much.
You'll like edit certain words where it's just like, I hate you. Be like, what?
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
I love it. That's so great. See, that awesome sense of humor. We love you, Johnny. Thank you so much, Wild Squirrel.
Thanks, Jack.